Yeah, he's concluded. So maybe the lawyer you wanted to speak can go ahead.
So the lawyer, okay, I had brought us here a member of the LSK Council to try and give us a legal perspective of whatever is going on. Of course, so many questions deserve a legal answer. I mean, at this stage, we all want to know so many things. Like we saw in breaking news today, the Inspector General of Police has resigned. You know, we saw the cabinet being dissolved the other day. So these are all major developments which will definitely have an impact on our discussions and the overall fight for the justice, okay? So what do you guys think will happen to those responsible, okay? With the resignation of the IG, how will this affect if the ongoing investigations into police killings during anti-government protests? Okay, so I'll also want to know your thoughts on the this might change the approach of the movement. Okay, so Mr. Legal, Mr. Senior Counsel, you can proceed. Mr. Council Member, sorry.
Thank you so much, Cyprian. First, let me set the record straight. I'm not a senior counsel. I'm a council member of the Law Society of Kenya. Secondly, I want to also make it straight that I have not been participating in this space from the beginning, but I managed to capture some of the questions. Thirdly, I'm holding brief on behalf of the President of the Law Society of Kenya, especially on the legal questions that have been raised through these discussions. I only captured 2 questions.
Okay.
And the first one was whether we can file a case to confront and freeze the cabinet secretary's accounts. And the second question was, how can we make sure that every rogue police officer is brought to book? Those are the 2 questions that I managed to capture as of the time I joined this conversation. And again, I think, Cyprian, you have asked several questions with regard to the cabinet issue and the question of the Inspector General of Police.
Yeah, we would also appreciate your personal views on that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. First, it's very important to appreciate. I head the Public Interest Litigation Committee of the Law Society of Kenya. From the time the demonstrations began in this country, as the Law Society of Kenya, we have lodged, as of today, close to 36 constitutional petitions before the High Court of Kenya. And out of the 36, we have had directions close to 25 of them. We have not had a sleep for the last 3 weeks or so in terms of ensuring that we hold the individuals in office accountable to the atrocities meted upon the members of the public, the individuals demonstrating and exercising their rights in the streets, and generally the innocent public. To the first question as to whether we can freeze the accounts of the cabinet secretaries, indeed, yes. The Anti-Corruption Act, and including the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, requires that any proceeds of crime, any proceeds of corruption can be challenged in court if an individual is suspected or believed to have acquired public property in form of resources, in form of any capacity. He or she can be able to be prosecuted over the same. Indeed, as the Law Society, we have capacity to institute proceedings to have those accounts frozen if we have suspicion. And I'm speaking this because we don't have any evidence with regard to whether these cabinet secretaries have since received any proceeds of crime. If you are a member of the public and you believe that indeed these former cabinet secretaries received any funds, it's very important that you channel that communication to the Law Society of Kenya. We have a toll line line where you can report this information to the Law Society of Kenya so that we can be able to proceed and find out and get facts for purpose of instituting proceedings in court. Remember, even as I answer this question of freezing accounts, that courts of law are regulated through statute and through the Constitution. And so it's not enough to allege. You have to substantiate to the court that indeed I have evidence and I have reason to believe that this cabinet secretary received resources or funds that are meant for public use and that were diverted for personal use. And if you have that evidence and information, it's very important that you channel it to the Law Society. We will do our duty to ensure that those accounts are frozen and that the rule of law takes its course. On the second question about how we can make the inspected police and the police officers who orchestrated the killings, the abductions, the arbitrary arrests, the injuries meted on the members of the public, innocent members of the public. I want to speak without any fear of contradiction that the numerous cases we have in court touch on, number one, the abductions. I want to report as the convener of the public interest litigation that 90% of the people who were abducted have been released pursuant to the efforts of the President of the Law Society and the Council of the Law Society so far. Of course, we have individuals who disappeared. We have individuals who the reports have come out that they have already been murdered and investigations are ongoing. But in terms of the majority of the individuals who reports were given to the Law Society, we instituted close to 6 petitions on the question of abduction alone. And the first petition had 13 people, and out of the 13 people, I think all of them under that petition were found and released. The second petition was on injuries. It's important for the public to know that even as we fight for the interests of the members of the public, that one of our members of the Law Society was equally injured in the process of actually bailing out members of the public. And this is at the Central Police Station. We have a specialized petition against the Central Police Station. And I can confirm that during these demonstrations, it is the Central Police Station that has scored highly in terms of violation of human rights under the Bill of Rights. And what did they do? They incarcerated the first day we had demonstrations in Nairobi and across the country, the Tuesday, if you remember, there were close to 400 people arrested across Nairobi. A majority of them were arrested at the Central Police Station. As of that evening, 397 had already been released pursuant to the efforts of the Law Society. The 3 who were incarcerated and presented in court the following day, including Boniface Mwangi, were released without a charge the following day at Milimani Law Courts. And subsequent to that, we have had we have had several demonstrations. Out of all those demonstrations, the majority of the people who have been arrested and incarcerated for the offense of picketing or attending to demonstrations were arrested at the Central Police Station but were never presented in court. We have, of course, a few who are presented in court for purposes of other charges, which as the Law Society we will not interfere including destruction of property. If it's proven, it's a question of proving. But any charge that touched on any member of the public participating in a peaceful protest, then of course we came on record on behalf of those members of the public, and we did what was supposed to be done. So there are several petitions against the OCS of Central Police Station. We have a specialized petition against the head of Nairobi, the regional head in Nairobi. We have several petitions against the former cabinet secretary, Minister of Interior, the former cabinet secretary Kindiki. We have a petition against the former Inspector General of Police. I'm informed that he has already resigned. In all these efforts, what has come out is this: that as an institution, as a republic, as individuals, as the public, we have to be very vigilant, because the people we are dealing with intend to perform and persecute the members of the public, but they do not have the guts to stand to the decisions they make. Today you have seen the deaths that have been recorded, the bodies that have been recovered. These are members, these are citizens of this country who have been murdered because of exercising a simple right under the Constitution of Kenya. They have a right to do what they did, but they have paid the ultimate price. We have to be vigilant. The price of freedom in any system of government is to be forever vigilant as to what your right is. And so I believe I've answered those two questions as to what we are doing as the Law Society in terms of ensuring that we hold accountable public officers who are in office and who are supposed to actually offer the members of the public security, and who have otherwise gone against that right, whereas they earn from the from the pockets of the members of the public to actually sit in those offices. Now, I don't know whether there are other questions, but let me speak to the cabinet dismissal by the president yesterday. The president, under the Constitution, and I will not go to the specific provisions of the law, is required to appoint a specific number of cabinet secretaries under the Constitution. Under this government, he appointed the number above the provisions of the Constitution. Remember, the former president appointed a military man into the cabinet. And I remember challenged that decision. It is within the legal space that indeed the appointment. The president fell into the same mistake and proceeded to actually appoint an excess cabinet, whereas the Constitution gives a minimum. He did not go for the minimum. He appointed individuals who did not have capacity, who did not have prerequisite qualifications to sit in those offices. He proceeded to appoint individuals who had active cases in court, including suspicion of murder. One of the cabinet secretary was suspected to have murdered a member of the public. And those cases are in the public domain. And those are the individuals who have been given the responsibility to run this government for the last 2 or so years. He did the right thing to dismiss almost all of them and left one of them, the Prime Cabinet Secretary. The Prime Cabinet Secretary position is unconstitutional, and to inform the public, this position has already been challenged by the Law Society of Kenya in court. It is not known in law. The Constitution provides for cabinet secretaries. There is no supreme cabinet secretary amongst the cabinet secretaries appointed. And therefore, that position, regardless of the fact that the president did not dismiss the cabinet secretary holding that office, the office is non-existent. It's not known under this constitution, and therefore, some legal individuals have already stated that there was no office to dismiss an individual in the first place. And so we will continue following up on the cases in court with regard to the position of the Law Society of Kenya in terms of the cabinet secretary, the prime cabinet secretary position. But it's not a position that is provided under the law. It is a good move that the president dismissed the entire cabinet, but that's not enough. What is the biggest problem? Why do we find ourselves here? Some of the issues that the Gen Z, the millennials, and actually the general public, because this is no longer a Gen Z push, it's a general public interest push. Because at the end of the day, whereas we appreciate that it was started by the Gen Z, it is affecting every fabric of this republic. Our biggest problem as a country is in the National Assembly. The National Assembly has multiple duties. I believe it's one of the biggest representative house, both Parliament and the Senate, both parliaments under the Constitution. The Senate and the National Assembly, they have a duty to represent the public in terms of, on the question of oversight, on the question of legislation, and checks and balances. Have they checked the executive? No. Every time a crucial bill, including the finance bill, is presented before Parliament, these individuals you elected, you the members of the public, proceed to sit in State House and get instructions as to how they will vote. The Constitution under Article 1, we the people, has given the public the power to actually elect their representatives to the both houses of Parliament. Why do they find it fit to go and sit in State House to get instructions as to how they can vote on questions that will affect the members of the public? And that is the question we are asking. They are the biggest letdown in this 2010 Constitution dispensation. Why? They have failed on their legislative mandate. They legislate on bills that actually undermine the fundamental rights. They take away the rights of individuals to own property, to participate fairly in a system, generate wealth in a proper system. They take away, they cut deals with the state. They do all manner of issues while holding the positions that you gave them, you, the citizenry. What is it that they have done in terms of oversight? Do they check the president? No. If they were to check the president, remember, and I appreciate the Senate so far, because if you look at the Senate has impeached a number of governors. It is their oversight duty to actually check their governors and see whether the resources given to them are utilized to ensure that the citizens benefit from devolution. Or the president that has been presented in Parliament. Yet, it is the most populated representative house. The Senate has actually tried as much as it can. And remember, guys, Parliament has been with us since the Kenyan Parliament was established. Some of the people who represent us today have sat in Parliament. All the former presidents of this republic have sat in Parliament in representative capacity. But Senate was is a creature of the Constitution of 2010. How many governors have been impeached? Several. You can call them, and you know for a fact that indeed Senate has performed its duties. Of course, not 100%. But what has the National Assembly done? Because the power to recall the president falls under that house. The power to recall the deputy president falls that house. The power to recall a finance bill that is actually pushing down the Mamamboga, the Boda, and every other person is under the National Assembly. What is it that they have done? The CDF, the money that is given to them. Why do we have money given to individuals to distribute in terms of education? And these are substantive constitutional questions. What is it that we can do as a country to ensure that resources given in form of constituency development fund go straight to those Why did we create the devolved government if we cannot allow the devolved government to distribute CDF? You give a member of parliament 50 million, for instance, in a ward. They give each family 2,000 shillings in form of bursary. Are we building a country, or we are building a cartel? Do we have mechanisms to account to the resources we give into CDF? And those are the substantive questions, and I will speak to the parliament as an house which has failed this country. And I believe even the president now knows that the people who sit in parliament are the people who have let him down. They are the people who do not follow the law. They are the ones who legislate the laws that we use to do business, to conduct ourselves, to walk, to speak, to talk, to do anything. There are laws on the digital space and all that. Once we elect them, they do it as they wish. They do not look back as to what the people who elect them, who gave them, who donated them the mandate. We have the three arms of government. We have the executive and the judiciary. We have our troubles in the judiciary, and I can speak on behalf of the president because we have been having concerns. Matters are not moving. Cases are not moving. We have issues to do with capacity in terms of the numbers of judges within that court. We have problems with the executive. And you have seen what has transpired for the last few months. Every cabinet secretary, and I do not want to compare this government and the previous government, but I believe in the previous government, they were from the cabinet secretaries who have appointed. There is a reason why the constitution required the president not to appoint politicians into cabinet offices. Because a politician is always a politician. A cabinet office is employed by the republic. If you elect your political friends into a cabinet, then you are inviting politics into cabinet. The least we can expect, and the National Assembly has a right to do politics because that is a political house. The Senate has a duty to do politics, but the cabinet is an office where you have been appointed to offer expert services. Did the cabinet secretaries who were appointed under this government offer expertise in terms of the responsibilities bestowed upon them? You have the answers, the members of public. And so those are our problems as a country, and I believe as a law society, we will continue pursuing and ensuring that the rule of law is respected in all dimensions. We will go to court for the number of deaths we have experienced within this period, because there is no, even the most worst, the most crimes under the penal code A person has a right to be presented in court, to be told what the offense he has committed, and to be subjected to a legal process. Taking away someone's life arbitrarily, that used to happen in the previous constitution, but under this constitution, everybody has to take race forward, and as a law society, we'll continue to push on that front. Thank you so much.
This is Real Talk here. I'm the one who asked about the freezing of the bank accounts. So I just want to follow up real quick, Hosea. So are you saying I can't commission a lawyer to go in front of a judge on Monday? Because this is urgent, to go in front of a judge Monday and say, unilaterally that we want the bank accounts of the 23 fired CSs to be frozen all at the same time on suspicion of stealing taxpayer money. Are you saying this is impossible? So we have to wait like 6 months, 7 months for an investigation? Just answer me real quick. Thanks.
No. I didn't say it's impossible. I was trying to make the difference between what we say in public and what is presented in court. The court of law is a court of evidence, a court of facts. And one of the biggest challenge we experience as advocates and practitioners is this, that whereas we know that we have a duty as advocates to substantiate through facts, and that's why I asked the members of the public to supply any information. And you have a right to appoint an advocate because they investigate, find out the allegation that has been made, then proceed to court, because the court, once presented with facts as to whether there are proceeds of crime that have been received by certain people in these accounts, they have a duty to freeze those accounts, and they have done it time without number. If you go through the Kenya law reports, you'll find out that the anti-corruption court has frozen thousands of accounts that are suspected to have received proceeds of crime. And so the most important ingredient in proceedings in court, it's not enough to allege without substantiating, and it's important to fact find if it's established that indeed that money was received. And again, as citizenry, if you instruct your advocate, they have a duty to get facts. Under Article 35, they have a duty within the public who's serving in the public service, requiring that they supply information to you. 35 gives you powers to actually seek for this information, seek for these facts, because I know as a citizen, you might not be privy to certain factual issues, and therefore you have a right. So that if they refuse to supply this information, then you have a duty to go before court and say, look, I requested this information and these people refuse to supply it. Can you order that they supply this information?
Just a second. We understand that, but that will take time. We're talking about urgently. Like, we can't file something on Monday or next week and say urgently on suspicion of stealing taxpayer money. Let's freeze these accounts as we're doing investigations.
You see, I appreciate where you're coming from, but again, remember, when you're going for a personal right, remember freezing someone's someone's account, you require to show why that account should be frozen.
Suspicion of stealing taxpayer money.
You have to demonstrate.
Just suspicion by itself. That's what I'm asking.
Yes. And you have to demonstrate, and I think that is where your advocate comes in. If the advocate demonstrates that indeed there is proper suspicion in terms of evidence, in terms of documentation, the court will not hesitate to issue interim orders to first freeze those accounts and then go to the factual issues. The biggest risk as constitutional practitioners we have is this. It's going to court without substantive evidence. Remember, the courts do not happen or do not operate like we operate as members of the public. You have to substantiate whatever that you go to court. And remember, the risk on your side, instituting proceedings against an individual before you get substantive evidence in terms of what you are alleging that they have done. And that's why I've said sometimes it's very difficult to get this information from the members of the public. from the members serving in public office. And the easiest way to do it, because the Constitution allows you under Article 35 to first request for this document. You can even tell them, I am ready and able. Government institutions will tell you, oh, we don't have resources, we don't have allocation. And that's what they come to court every time to say sources. So in your letter, your advocate's letter, your advocate knows what to do. He'll tell them, look, we are ready to facilitate in form of resources to photocopy. Whether you want photocopy for us, we will pay so that you photocopy for us. When you present this information to the court, after requesting for these documents under that provision of the law, and they refuse to supply, then your right to access to information under Article 35 is deemed to have been violated. And that's why I'm giving you a simple issue, because I have seen numerous petitions. I've been in practice for some time. I've seen numerous petitions being dismissed on the basis that you have not established a prima facie case. You have not supplied with substantive information in terms of evidence for the court to actually issue interfering personal interests. As we speak, if we had the information in public that certain accounts have received resources that are proceeds of crime, then it will be very easy for anyone to rush to court and say, look, we know for a fact that these accounts have received this amount of resources, and we are asking you to freeze these accounts pending the hearing of the substantive case before you. There is no constitutional court that will turn a blind eye to such an application. And that's why I'm saying we have to move with evidence, and I think that is the most important aspect that the members of the public need to appreciate, that it is very difficult to infringe an individual's right. Remember, these cabinet secretaries are also members of, they are Kenyans. So when you go before the court does not look at them as cabinet secretaries and look at you as a member of the public. They look at you both as members of the public, regardless of the position they take. So that what you are alleging, if you substantiate, the court will not care who this person is. The court will proceed and issue relevant orders. Thank you.
Thank you, Hosea. So basically what you're saying is that we need to focus on a few CSs who we might have suspicion and a little bit of evidence that they received taxpayer money and they channeled it through their accounts or proxy accounts. So, okay. Because these people are moving money as we speak. I see Cyprian had dropped. I don't know if he's back.
Yes, Cyprian is back, though as a speaker now.
Okay. Yes, guys, I'm back. Yes. Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I momentarily dropped as the co-host. So unfortunately, right now I do not have the rights to add anyone on the speaker, but I had already lined up share their views. Of course, right now I'm encouraging you guys. As you can see, we've brought here a legal expert, and I understand that we have also in the space former Law Society of Kenya President Mr. Eric Theory is also in the space. I am actively trying to bring him onto the panel, but as you can see, we're having some issues with the connection. So as I regain my co-hosting rights, I will let someone else maybe ask a question, because we have the legal experts now on the call. It's time to throw those legal questions. Someone had asked, by the way, someone actually mentioned that during today's gathering here at Fungamano House, there was a question that the panel was asked during the day. It was a very important question. So I want to put it back here to the online panel. So someone asked, given the resignation of the Inspector General and the dissolution of the cabinet, you see, there's this strong sentiment among the public, okay, regarding the symbols of authority and their representation. So during the session here at Fungamano during the day, this question was raised to the panel. They answered it, but unfortunately not everyone was following the conversation at the time. So for the sake of the people who just joined this space, or for the sake of the people who only joined the conversation online, I would like now to ask this question. This was the third question that we left out. So to the council on the panel, can we legally remove the posters and symbols of these outgoing officials, not just outgoing, even the ones in power, from our homes and businesses? Okay, and if it's possible, then appreciate some legal guidance on what could be some of the appropriate symbols of national unity and pride that we can replace these disgraceful figures with. So that was a question that many wanted like a very clear and legal answer from. So I will just let any legal expert on the panel, as we try to bring in former LSK president into the call. So, if you guys can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
I'm requesting Cyprian. Can you also have a chance so that maybe there can be other questions hapo katikati so that he combines them?
Okay, it's no problem, no problem. I just mentioned before the next speaker takes over, I was just notifying our legal experts on the panel that was the third question which was left out, and it's rather important. We would like to know because many Kenyans want to know. So, Mr. Manwa, maybe you can clarify on that, then we can take other questions from the other speakers.
Can I take a few more so that I'm able to answer all of them at the same time? I've already taken down the question that has been asked.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So then the next speaker, okay. Mr. Olunga, you can proceed.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Cyprian. Thank you for the chance to be in the Citizens Assembly. And I wanted to first of all speak to the future of the movement. I'm happy that this is going on and we have a space where we can share. My request right now is that, as you'll be realizing every other evening, there are many other spaces that are going to the county, occupy county. And I'm requesting that the name and support also the county spaces so that this movement can move. We have unique challenges in the counties. Like now we have the accountability question in the counties, and also the other small issue, the small movement in the county, which are also supporting the bigger movement at the national level. But as you saw yesterday, I mean, Nandi, Kericho, and Bomet are also taking up the accountability further, even into the counties. So I'm requesting that with some planning, we can also see how we can also be hosting the let me call them the county chapters. Number two, as Manu has mentioned, I wanted to say that the assembly is still the challenge in this fight, because it looks like nothing really is happening at the assemblies. And a curious one, if you guys can see, the speed at which the bills are coming to the assembly is amazing. There was a time there was around 5 or 6 bills on just the Department of Education that are the speed that they're coming for call for public participation, at the speed at which they're very sure people are not going to concentrate on what they are doing. So it's something that we also need to put a keen focus on. Lastly, I think we need to keep on being just consistent on this. As we keep on being consistent, we surely are going to get to the accountability. And let us not get distracted into the debate of starting to have sympathy. I see that a lot on the spaces that and the timeline, that if there was a chance that you're going to return any CSs, who do you think? That is sympathy, and that is compromising the movement. Finally, there's a guy, a Polish American scientist and philosopher called Alfred Korzybski, who said the map is not the territory. Very important. The map is not the territory. We have a map of where you're going, but you've not gotten to the destiny or the territory. So I want to be just brief like that. And one question to Manwa: we have a lot of these government audits by the Auditor General report, but we feel frustrated that there's nothing comes out of them. What could be happening? Because we see them even for the counties, they get grilled at the Senate, but to what end? We've never seen actually anybody get arrested and the anti-corruption coming in these cases. We know of the carcinogenic wheelbarrows. He became the speaker. Now he's a governor again. Nothing happens to these people. What can we do about these? The government, do they matter? Do they really mean anything? Because we get frustrated looking at how there's a lot of wastage in government, but no one cares about the system. The Auditor General just anachomoa reports, the nothing.
Looks like Cyprian has gone kidogo. So the next person can go ahead. Danny, I see your hands are up.
No, I'm here actually. So yes,
okay.
Danny can proceed. He requested for some time. Yeah, Danny, you can go on.
Yes, I hope I'm loud enough. Thank you so much, Madam President of LSK, for the opportunity, and also Cyprian for hosting. My name is Greta Nyamwamu. Danny is my nickname. I'm speaking currently from Kisii County. So before I give my contribution, I have a few questions that I would like to get some light on them. We all know that this country, court orders are not being followed. Police brutality is still going on. Even today, live ammunitions have been used in Kware while they were trying to disperse the people who were gathered there where the bodies were being retrieved. Still, they're using live ammunition. No court orders is being followed. So I would like clarity from the advocates and the wakilis. What can we really do about it? Because we have been on the streets, our lawyers and advocates have represented us in courts, but still they are giving us a blind eye on that. What can we do about it? Another question that I wanted to ask, the EACC is not doing their job. They are going for the small fish and leaving the big fish. Like nothing is really happening. Should we match? Should we occupy EACC, or what should we do? What should we do about it? Because we expect that they should be bringing some people to book these politicians who are looting a lot of money, but they are not doing anything about it. So I'm also asking, what can we do about it? A few weeks ago, actually, I got the information from Cyprian's tweets. The money that was, let me just say, it was looted or it got lost from the NHIF, the millions and millions of money. They just said that it disappeared. How can money disappear? What is going to be done about it? Can we also get light? How will it be followed up? Because clearly nothing is happening about it. Also on the CSS, personally, I will say that these people should be brought to book, and the way they were audited when they were being given the positions, they were told to declare their wealth. It's been almost 2 years down the line. Again, they should be audited. We need to know how much have they gained, how much have they looted, and what measures are going to be taken from there. So those are my few questions. I think I'll make my contribution later because I don't want to confuse the thoughts and the questions at the same time. Thank you.
Okay, Danny, thank you so much for your submission and taking part in this conversation. So the next speaker, so we're still taking questions, guys. So if you want to shoot something to the law experts on the panel, please, this is the moment. So I've accepted more requests. I've added some more guys as speakers. So shoot those questions, guys. Shoot questions. So I'll give it to Fred. Fred, you can proceed.
Well, thank you so much, Big Brother Nyakundi. We really appreciate what you are doing. You've been the public watchdog for quite a long time. I know you've met challenges, but you've sailed through. And thank you to the Faith Odhiambo, the LSK president. We really adore what you are doing and we cherish. We will never forget. So, having said that, I just want to be as brief as a cock on a hen. I don't want to take much time on this. I just want us to encourage the wananchi so that I think we don't even need an opposition like the politician oppositions. If wananchi can take the mantle and remain the opposition of this country like we've done in the past few weeks or months, then we can bring these people into book and we can really ensure that this country moves forward. Because for quite some time, we've seen culprits been walking away with serious crimes in this country, tampering with the evidences, killing witnesses. The public officers has just been there, like their, the public coffers has just been their cookie jar. They walk in anytime, they walk out, and nothing happens to them. An example is like all the deaths that we've seen. It's like these people, like all of them committed suicide because no one has ever been brought to book. Tukianzia mpaka time ya Kiamba, no one has ever been brought to book. So did these people commit suicide? No, these people were killed. This time I want like the public, we the people. I like that word, we the people. Let's walk strong. Let's always put them on toes. If you have any evidence as a whistleblower, kindly ensure that maybe you don't have that courage like our brothers Nyakundi have, ensure that you give it to him. Once he has substantiated that, I know he's going to bring it into public. And once he's done that, we take over again. We pile the pressure, we push forth, we march, we do anything until we see the fruits again. Accountability should be something at all time, be in plain black and white. We thank God because of the social media now. You know, back then when we were meeting, you need to have a permit. If a number of these given, it's 5 or what? You have to have a permit constitutionally, yeah, so that you can have those meetings. Like in easy, we are here like over 10,000 plus in this space. We have now the technology. We can always meet wherever we are. We come into one and we march forward. So whistleblowers, do not hesitate, do not fret. Give those evidences to whom you trust and ensure it's something crucial. Advantage these youths have, even the so-called Gen Zs, over these old folks, they've never worked. And huwezi chambua mtu hajaifanya kazi with anything corruption. But you who've worked, we are going to chambua huko chini, we are going to chimba everything because
So, guys, like I said, we have tried to gather some legal experts into the call. So, given the recent political changes, we have to understand. With the resignation of the IG, the solution of the cabinet, there are many legal questions. So, guys, I'm giving you the space to shoot those questions. So, I think Gabu is back on the call. I tried getting call when we started. I don't know if he can hear me. Wait, Gabu.
Someone else can get the speaker, please. Thank you.
Okay. She's unresponsive. So guys, okay, we'll just proceed to the next speaker. So I've got G Mutheu, she's on the call. G Mutheu, kindly proceed. Yes, I can hear you.
First, naweza penda na kwanza na my condolences, to send my condolences to our fallen soldiers and send my flowers to Madam Faith Odhiambo. She's doing a very good job. So I have two questions. Ya kwanza ni we are being overrepresented. Has it reflect, like their work, has it reflect seats, like the Senate? Some seats ziko tu hapo, we don't see what they're doing. Yeah, we're just being overrepresented, yet at the end of the day wanapokea mshahara. So is there hapo, for example of Kivuda Kibwana alimaliza terms zake 2 za governor, alafu sasa akaamua ni kurudi kukua senator. So they are making it look like politics sasa imekuwa sasa ni